we've got a doozy out of Memphis. Now, the Memphis area, home to the basketball team known as the Grizzlies. You'll be hard-pressed to find a grizzly bear in Memphis, but you will find a Ja Morant. You will find a Ja Morant, and this involves the life and times of the Grizzlies guard. If you have not heard, it took place over the weekend. Ja Morant, a man who has got a max contract in the NBA, is in the crosshairs again. What did he do? Did he go back to Shotgun Willie's in Denver? No, he did not. But he did do a similar act. There were no strippers involved this time, but he did flash a gun. He flashed a gun in a laissez-faire attitude situation there with a bunch of buddies of his on Instagram Live. The video was posted with some friends. They were rocking out in a car over the weekend. The video actually was posted on Saturday, and it came out just 2 months after. 2 months after, almost to the day, 2 months after the initial Instagram video that was filmed near the Jiggle Joint in Denver. You might remember that Ja Morant famously expressed remorse and said that the gun did not belong to him, that he would be better. He would be better. And then on Sunday, once the video started bouncing around the pinball machine and started going viral, the Grizzlies issued a prepared statement saying that they had suspended Ja Morant from all team activities pending the league's review of the new video, which, of course, is comical because it is the off season. That is like suspending a teacher during the summer. What exactly does that accomplish? But they have done it. Now, Mike Bass, I don't know who that is. I'm told he is a spokeshack for the NBA, said that the NBA was, quote, aware of the situation and were gathering more information, which is the standard default response in these situations. So let us discuss the question. What is the verdict? What is the verdict on Ja Morant's latest gun video? So I've got Thanksgiving, bingo, and Midway. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a nice lengthy vacation for Ja Morant. So, but as far as the verdict on Ja Morant and the latest gun video, the verdict is number one. He's a buffoon. Ja Morant is a buffoon. That is the verdict. Period. Stop. Now, keep in mind, having a gun is not illegal. And some people are like, there should be no guns in America and all that. It's not illegal to have a gun. That's not really the issue here. He didn't break the law, per se, having a gun, but he did break a golden rule. When you have escaped trouble, right? When you've escaped trouble, you probably shouldn't do the same thing or a very similar thing again. Hello? And that's besides the point, right? But here's the deal. This is an optics problem for the NBA. You are a superstar. If you're a superstar in sports, you're not the one carrying the gun. You pay people to carry the gun to protect you. That's the way that it works. Ja Morant breaking the golden rule, if you will. And he is the definition of the old trope of a dumb jock, Ja Morant, right? I mean, the guy's got a $200 million contract. I know. He's young. All right, so I guess every activity, as long as you're young, you get a pass on that. But he got warning. He was given a warning, and he has gone back down the same avenue again, the avenue of Sodom and Gomorrah. And he's gone back down that road again. Good luck living the life of a baller. The man's a baller. No rules. All right, I'm the headliner, and I'll throw it all the way on Instagram Live. And this guy can give a course on how not to use social media, right? He can use a Idiot's Guide to Instagram Live, starring Ja Morant as, yet again, was he ratted out by someone? No. Did somebody who had an axe to grind with Ja Morant embarrass him? No, not at all. Not at all. He turned the video on himself, a candid camera moment for Ja Morant. Wild, right? I mean, you can't make this up. You cannot make this up. And you think about all the people that put their neck out because they are riding the coattails of Ja Morant. People at Nike, who had signed him to a massive contract before the first video came out, the NBA, they all formed Voltron to make his problems vanish back in March when he was at Shotgun Willie's there in Denver, in the Denver area, and he made a mistake. The stress of being an athlete for Ja Morant. 2 months later, serendipity. We are back at it again. The level of stupidity for Ja Morant is breathtaking. Okay, breathtaking is the word for what Ja Morant has been able to pull off here. And I'm convinced that he loves Thanksgiving. He's a big fan of Thanksgiving. He is the star of the show. He's the turkey. He's the turkey at Thanksgiving. He's the dim-witted bird in an internal state of confusion. Ja Morant, that is him at this particular point in the story. Oozing dumbness, Ja Morant. Now, page 2. In hindsight, which is always fun, how silly do the NBA big shots look for the original punishment of Ja Morant, letting him off the hook? So forget hindsight. We don't even need to use hindsight. If you go back, and everything's archived on the podcast page for this show, and we'll pat ourselves on the back. Why not? No one else will. But at the time this all went down, we had pointed out in a previous episode of the show that the NBA was full of crapola, that they had clearly shown the world they think their customers are a bunch of mamalukes. And there are people who follow that sport that are easily bamboozled, and they were going to bamboozle everyone. And they were right. They were absolutely right. The NBA saw it. They know their customers morons, and they saw it. And it was all staged punishment. Manhattan crisis management teams were brought together, and they tossed together a script. And Ja Morant, remember, he met with Adam Silver in Manhattan. He had a sit-down interview with a very sympathetic Jalen Rose, and they hugged it out. It was wonderful. No hard questions were asked. It was softball city by Jalen Rose. It was theatrical is what it was. It was a theoretical shoulder to roll your head on and get a massage, a little head rub and all that stuff. And we had mentioned at the time apology bingo, which is what Ja Morant did. And if you had played apology bingo, you would have won. So if you go back and look at the statement from Ja Morant at the time, he said, and I'm not Ja Morant, we don't have the audio, but I'll give you the statement here. Ja said, honestly, I feel like we put ourselves in that situation with our past mistakes, and now it's only right that we focus in and lock in on being smarter and more responsible, holding each other accountable for everything, Morant said in a statement. He was repeating the talking points. And then he went on to say, but wait, there's more. Ja Morant said, I feel like in the past we didn't know what was at stake, but now finally me having that time to realize everything, have that time alone, I realize that now, he said. Dope. Oh, it's so good. He said, oh, man, I can go on and on. There's a bunch of other stuff, but it's all buzzwords and catchphrases. It's, I made a terrible mistake. He was holding back a smile while he said that. He played the family card, brought up his daughter, tug at the heartstrings. That's what you got to do. Be smarter, more responsible, accountability, all those things. Bad decision. And it was all for the cameras. It was all bullshoy. It was all bullshoy is what it was. Now, final point. So what kind of punishment is Ja Morant facing this time? So it's a good news, bad news. The good news is he's going to get a lifetime contract with the NRA. So he will be a spokesperson for the NRA because he is losing millions in this transaction. Millions. He was already off the All-NBA team, which he likely would have been on if he had not gone to Shotgun Willie's and turned on Instagram Live. So he cost himself $39 million with that over the course of his contract in extra earnings. So you take $39 million there. Now The bad news, other than the NRA thing, is the good news. The bad news is that Ja Morant is also going to lose a lot more money because it is not that complex. Ja has visited the Midway. And Midway is a fun place to go, have a good time. A lot of games there at the Midway, and the Boardwalk games are out there at the Midway, and he has decided to play the stupidest game you can play. And as they say at the Midway, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So Ja Morant's prize will be a indefinite suspension. We imagine indefinite suspension is coming down the pike for Ja Morant. That will happen there, and Morant will be suspended for an indefinite amount of time. And there's one thing I know from my years around big-time sports. The people in big-time sports, and just in life in general, but we're talking in the context of sports, they do not like to be made the fool. And Ja Morant, through his own actions, has made them the fool. The NBA pulled out all the stops. As we mentioned, they came up with all this bull crap. They pulled out Jalen Rose to massage the shoulders of Ja Morant, and they gave him the talking points to say, and he used all the big talking points and all that. And he went back and said, let's do it again. Let's play it back one more time, and we'll put the video up on Instagram Live. So good. So good. No more get-out-of-jail-free cards from Adam Silver, Mr. Softy there, who also looks like a dope with a capital D, the commissioner of the NBA, as he should. Now, Silver, at the time, he issued a statement calling Morant's conduct irresponsible, reckless, and potentially very dangerous. That was a prepared statement by the commissioner of the NBA, Morant. Remember, he went to get treatment. We talked about how ridiculous this was. Nobody else, for some reason, the media brought this up. But if you remember what Ja Morant's treatment was, he visited therapists doing anxiety breathing exercises and something called Reiki treatment. You probably don't know what that is. It's not mainstream, a Reiki treatment. What on God's green earth is that, you ask? I recommend doing your own due diligence and looking it up. It's pseudoscience is what it is, and it's also been called a scam. The NBA signed off on a scam for Ja Morant. A Reiki is a Japanese form of energy healing. It is alternative medicine. Now, not all alternative medicine is bad. This is something that I would put, in my opinion, in the bad category. It's supposed to promote relaxation and reduce stress and anxiety. Reiki treatment. What is it exactly? It uses a technique. It's called palm healing. The hands of the therapist are on the body of the patient, and hands-on healing through, they say, universal energy is said to be transferred through the palms of the healer, to your palm, the palm of the healer, to the patient to encourage emotional and physical healing. Yes, it's a palm job. It's on. I look at these websites, medical quackery website. Quack, 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 quack. This is right there. It's on the medical quackery websites. And nobody in the NBA media, all these dopes in the media that follow the NBA, and whatever the NBA says, nobody said, wait a minute, that's not really legit. Nobody brought that up. If you go to quackwatch.org, it's a great website if you want to know about quackery. Quackwatch.org. They have studied Reiki therapy. It is fertilizer, is what it is. Reiki has no substantiated health value and lacks a scientifically plausible rationale. It is science-based healthcare. It says should not be tolerated, blah, 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 blah. And so there you go. Ja Morant and the NBA. Maybe you can go back and get some more of that therapy.